Hello. It's good to see you. Today we are going to be making a St. Patrick's Day wreath. I'm so excited. I can't believe it's actually time again to do that. Seems like we just did one, but it's almost March. I can't believe it. So I'm going to be showing you first the materials that we're going to use to make it. Now, once again, it is raining cats and dogs outside, so you may hear some pitter-patter of rain. We've had a lot of rain in the last few months. It's just been very rainy, and it's raining again today. So first of all, I'm going to show you what we're going to work with. Now this is a 14-inch wreath form, and these come from Dollar Tree. It's a little, they call it a wreath ring. This is, like I said, this is the 14-inch size. Although I will tell you that recently, some Dollar Trees are now carrying the 18-inch wreath rings as well. But you will see this one has 4 wires going around. The 18-inch only has 3. So you're going to have the 2 outer wires, and then you're just going to have 1 in the middle instead of these 2. So depending on the type of technique you're doing, that may make, you might not be able to use it, or it could work better for you. Just whatever you're going to be making. So these are only $1. Of course, in other fabric and craft stores, you can find other types of wreath forms. You can find different shapes and sizes, but they're going to be significantly more expensive. In most fabric and craft stores, a wreath form about this size is going to be around $6 to $7. But I like these from Dollar Tree. They work just as well, and they're only $1. So that is going to be the foundation of our St. Patrick's Day wreath right there. And then I'm going to show you the mesh. Now the mesh for this wreath is very simple. As opposed to what I'm going to do for Easter, I want to make a very colorful, vibrant, bright wreath for Easter, and I'm so excited to show you the stuff for that, but we're not doing that today. Today we're only doing the St. Patrick's Day wreath. So we're going to start out with this dark green mesh. Now there's a lot on here. Now I have in the past made wreaths only from Dollar Tree stock, exclusively Dollar Tree items. However, for St. Patrick's Day, they don't have anything like this, so I had to go elsewhere to purchase my mesh. Some of this came from Michael's, and some of it, I think I went to Joann Fabrics and Crafts for the rest of it. But this one came from Michael's. This is a really pretty dark green mesh. Isn't that nice? Now I'll tell you, typically when we make a 14-inch wreath form, wreath with only Dollar Tree mesh, the rolls are going to be a lot smaller, and it takes around 5 to 6 rolls of Dollar Tree mesh to do it. Now it won't take that many with these big rolls, but if you're making one with only Dollar Tree mesh, expect to need at least 5 to 6 rolls of mesh. So that to make a nice, pretty full wreath. So we're going to be using, I want to stick primarily with this dark green in this wreath. You kind of get a picture in your mind of what you want the wreath to look like as you start making more of these wreaths. You get an idea in your mind, and you just try to purchase things along those lines. And I knew I wanted it to be a nice dark green, primarily dark green wreath. So I have 2 big rolls of this dark green mesh. I always mention this, but it's a good tip. If you're looking to purchase mesh at Michael's, you do get a nice big roll. It's high quality mesh. It's nice and stiff. It's good mesh. Make sure it's stiff. That's very important. We like that. If you go there when they're not having a sale on their mesh, you can expect to pay $10 to $15 per roll for this mesh, which in my opinion is a bit much, but it's their store. They can charge that. But if you check, about every 6 to 8 weeks, they will put the mesh on sale. And all rolls of mesh, no matter how big they are, except the really wide ones too, they're all only $4.99. And the trick is to go in there when the sale starts and stock up. Think ahead to future projects and go ahead and pick up the mesh for those projects if you can, if they have it. $4.99 for a roll this size is a really good deal. But I had a little wreath emergency. I did not plan ahead sufficiently for this wreath, so I had to pay full price for mine. And these were $9.99 each, and I bought 2 of them. So that was my fault because I totally forgot I was making this wreath, and I didn't buy any in advance when it was on sale. So that was my fault. This mesh is not wired. There's no wire in here, which is good because for what we're doing, wire would be it would make it kind of annoying. So it's mainly going to be dark green, but we're also going to incorporate a bit of light green in here as well. Now I think this came from Joann Fabrics and Crafts. It's a smaller roll, you can see, but I think it was $5.99 for this. So I want to put in a little bit of light green. I don't want it to be all dark. So we're going to mix in, I have 2 rolls of this. I may use both. I may only use the one. Kind of have to wait and see. Sometimes I change my mind as I go. But that way we'll have I think it'll add a little bit of depth to it to have this light green along with the dark green. And I found this in my mesh, in my wreath making stash. I had this big roll of this kind of like a gold mesh. I bought this at Michael's sometime in the past when it was on sale. It's beautiful gold. It's not that bright yellow. I do have some of this super bright fluorescent yellow that I found at Joann Fabrics and Crafts. And I'm going to use that in the Easter wreath. But for this wreath, I thought this gold would look better with the dark green and the light green instead of that bright yellow. So we're going to incorporate some of this. I will not be using the entire roll. I might use about half of it, perhaps. I don't want a lot in there, just a little bit to kind of complement those 2 shades of green. So that is our mesh, and those are the only colors we're going to use. Dark green, lighter green, and kind of a gold color, but not a lot of the gold. And then we have our ribbon. I got all of my ribbon at Joann Fabrics and Crafts, and it was all half price, so that was awesome. This one here is 7/8 inch ribbon, and it says, "Kiss me, I'm Irish." And let's see how much we have of that. We have 3 yards of this ribbon here. Thought that was pretty, because like I said, at Dollar Tree, they haven't had any of this kind of stuff, not for St. Patrick's Day. They did for Valentine's Day and Easter, although the Easter stuff, I couldn't believe how fast the Easter stuff just disappeared. They put it out, and within less than a week, all the Dollar Trees around here, it was all gone. They had nothing left. And they put it out before Valentine's Day. Well, they were starting to put it out before Valentine's Day, and within a week, it was all gone. So for my Easter stuff, I actually had to look in some other stores to find my ribbon and mesh and stuff, although I had some mesh left over from last year's Easter wreath, so I'll be able to work that in. And I found this one. I thought this ribbon was really pretty. It has little shamrocks on it, and it has that really nice dark green background to it. And it says Happy St. Patrick's Day. And this is also 7/8 inch ribbon, 3 yards of that, so it's the same width as this one here. So we're going to be working in all of it. We're going to use the whole roll of those 2. And I don't know if I want to use this one or not. I found this in my wreath making stash in the attic. It's just sort of a shiny green ribbon. It's 11/16 inch ribbon. I don't know. I mean, I might use it. I might put a little bit of that in there. Wow, this is 36 feet. Goodness gracious. I don't know. I might. I got it out because it was green. And I have this one also came from Joann Fabrics and Crafts. This is such a pretty plaid. Look at the different shades of green. Now this one is 1.5 inches by 4 yards. And it's so pretty. Now this is a wired ribbon. It doesn't really matter. When I show you what we're going to do with it, you'll see why it won't matter. We're not going to be actually using the wire to form and shape the ribbon at all. It's going to be incorporated into our bundles of mesh. And it's going to look really cute. And when we first start making the bundles, you're going to look at it and go, what are you doing? You're making a mess. When you put it all together, it looks good. That's rain. It's raining sideways out there. Sounds like somebody's throwing rocks at my house, which wouldn't surprise me. Well, if they want to stand in the rain and throw rocks at my house, I guess I'll let them. So this ribbon kind of has a white background, and then the lighter green, and then a little bit darker in the plaid. And the final ribbon I have is this great big thick one. Look at this. Ooh. This is another wired edge ribbon, and it has that cool diamond pattern look. And it's very reflective with it has cellophane wrapping around it. Now this is 2.5 inch ribbon, and you get 4 yards of it, and it has the little shamrocks on it. I love it. I think it's really pretty. I think this is my favorite of all the ribbons. That's just cool. So that's gonna make up the bundles, the mesh and the ribbon. And we're gonna hold them together with little fuzzy pipe cleaners. Here I have a little packet of fuzzy sticks. I got these at Walmart for 88 cents. We have 25 in here. I think that will be enough to do the entire wreath. Usually I end up with about 50 bundles, 50. But so you cut these in half. Each one of these is going to be cut in half, and you'll use a half of one of these to make a bundle. So it should be enough. If not, I found this in my stash. I have this, look at this, a giant pack of rainbow fuzzy sticks. Now there are 100 of them in here, and you can get these really cheap at Walmart. I think they're less than $3 for a big pack like this. They're really cheap. I picked this out because there's some more green ones in here, and if I need them, I can use some of the green ones. I wanted to keep it all green. It doesn't really matter when you're making your wreath. If you have a bunch of mismatched pipe cleaners, it's fine. It bothers me if I turn the wreath around and I look at the back and they don't match, or they don't go with the colors in the wreath. It's just me. Nobody else is going to see it because it's going to be facing the wall or the door, but I like for them to match. So I'm going to use these green ones to go with all the green that we have in the wreath. Or if I had yellow, I could just use all yellow or whatever, but I would want it to kind of stick with that green and yellow theme. But it doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. It's just me. And then you get into the fun part of decorating your wreath after you get all the bundles made and you get them attached to your wreath form. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Then you get to add your decorations. I found these also at Joann Fabrics and Crafts. Although I'll tell you, at Dollar Tree they have some of these little cauldrons down, the little, pot of gold, the little pots. They have these in black, but I wanted to put some of these little gold ones in there, so I bought these at Joann Fabrics and Crafts mainly for the little gold colored ones. So I'll find a way to put them all 4 in there, but I really like these gold ones up here. I thought they were cool. And the packs at Dollar Tree don't have gold ones. They're all just like this, which is fine. And we'll put them in there. And I think these may actually be a little bit smaller than the ones in the packs at Dollar Tree. These were half price. They were $6.99, which I think is a bit much for 4 little plastic hollowed out, pots, but they were half price, so they were only $3.50. So I have that, and at Dollar Tree I picked these up. They do have these at Dollar Tree. Now you have your little, they're like carnations, basically, little artificial carnations, and they have been coated in green glitter. Now some of these, see this, these are more white, and these appear to be a little bit darker, like an off-white maybe. But what I'm going to do is we're going to cut these and glue them, going to hot glue them into the wreath as decorations. And we also have little glitter covered shamrocks and little gold coins in here, and we can also glue those in there. So we're going to have a bunch of little flowers and coins and shamrocks to put in there. So there's that. And finally, I picked this up also at Dollar Tree. These came from Dollar Tree. Little coins. And on the back it says 4-leaf clover for good luck. So it's just a bunch of little gold coins with 4-leaf clovers on them. I may find a way to either maybe glue them on. I don't think it would work. Like try to glue them on top of the little pots, or just hot glue them into the wreath. Sometimes with your decorations, you just kind of have to wait and see how it works out. Sometimes you start out with one idea and then you come up with something better, or something you wanted to do just doesn't work. But anyway, we'll find a way to get them in there. I don't want to make the wreath too heavy, and I seriously doubt I'm going to use all 30 of these. I'll find a way to get some of them in there though, because I thought they were really cute. So that is everything I wanted to show you. And now we are going to get set up to make our bundles, and I will show you how to do that next. We have everything ready to go. I've gone ahead and cut the ribbons. You want them to be around 9 inches long, or that's the way I do them. It doesn't have to be exact. You can measure them out and make sure they're exactly 9, but if they're not, it's okay. It's not gonna matter. So I've taken my little pipe cleaners, and I've taken 2 of them and cut them in half. I just use little wire cutters to cut these, and again, they don't have to be exact. Like I cut these a little off, but that's okay. That's not a problem at all. Let's see now. We're going to go ahead and do some bundles. And to make our bundles, we have our wreath mesh. I've cut these pieces also about 9 inches long. One thing you can do with your mesh, or your ribbon if you want to, just take an old piece of cardboard or something that, cut it 9 inches long, and you can reinforce it with duct tape or whatever to make it more sturdy. And then you just wrap your mesh around it and you just cut, and then you have your little pieces. I just pull it out a little bit at a time and cut it. That's just the way I prefer to do it, but you can use the cardboard, just like a 9-inch piece of cardboard or whatever, or whatever, like a little thin piece of wood, or just whatever you happen to have handy. That makes cutting a little faster as well. Okay, now, so I've cut up a bunch of the dark green and the light green and some of the gold mesh into little approximately 9-inch pieces. Now we're going to be doing the starburst technique, which is my favorite. There are different ways to make these. Sometimes we take the mesh and we roll it. We do rolls. That's where you just take it and kind of roll it up like a very porous joint like this. That wouldn't hold much. But the starburst technique, you're going to take your piece of mesh, you're going to grab opposing corners and pull just a little bit. You don't want to pull it too hard because it can damage the mesh. Actually, this mesh from Michael's can stand up to it a lot better than the Dollar Tree mesh. This mesh is it's much firmer than the Dollar Tree mesh. But anyway, you grab opposing corners, pull it a little bit, hold it, and then I just kind of walk my finger over, push it down, and then you want to kind of roll it together, and you pinch it like that, and you end up with this. It looks like a little piece of bow tie pasta, basically. Now you have to hold it in the middle or it will come apart. You want to keep pressure right there in the middle of that. You can use a clothespin or a chip clip or whatever to hold this. I'm just going to stick it right here between these 2 fingers. Now for these bundles, we're going to do 4 pieces of mesh per bundle. And we're going to need about 50 bundles total to do this wreath. I think what I'm going to do this a little differently. Normally, when we make these bundles, I will take, like say, if I had 4 colors, I would just do 1 of each color in the bundle. This time, I think we're going to do in each bundle for most of them, we're going to do 3 pieces of the dark, 1 piece of light green, and then the gold I'm going to bundle all by itself. And we're going to do bundles that are just gold. We're not going to mix the gold in with the dark green and the light green. We're going to keep it separate and make the gold its own bundle. And we normally don't do that. But as I was cutting up the gold mesh, I decided to do that. Okay, so for each of the bundles, it's going to be the same. We're going to have 3 of these pieces, like this, and 1 of the light green. So the more you do this, the easier it gets. I'm going to continue holding this piece here, and I'm going to take the second piece, do the same thing, pull opposing corners. You just kind of walk your finger over. It helps if you have long fingers like I do. You will kind of develop your own technique over time. 1, 2, let's do a light green one. It looks kind of yellow here, but this is the light green mesh, it's not the gold. Pull opposing corners, walk it over, kind of roll it together. Going to put that on top, and I'm still holding it up. I'm not going to let it go. And then we do another piece of dark green, pull the opposing corners, walk over, roll it together and put it like that. Now we have our 4 pieces of mesh here, and like I said, I want to try to keep a lot of this dark green in here. I want it to be primarily dark green. That's just, when I picture it in my mind, that's the way I see it. So then what we're going to do is take a big piece of this ribbon here. I cut these a little bit short. I didn't mean to, it just kind of happened. I'm going to put a piece of this here and a piece of this skinnier ribbon on top of that. Now you'll notice that the edges are finished all nice and fancy, even on the wider piece, and in a minute I'm going to show you how to do that. It's called dovetailing, and I'll show you how to do it. It's super easy. And trust me, if I can do it, you can. I'm not the most crafty person. So then we have our half of a piece of pipe cleaner. Now this is the tricky part, but again, the more you do it, the easier it gets. We're still holding everything together. You take your pipe cleaner and you lay it across perpendicularly like this. We're still holding everything together. Flip it over. Now we're looking at the underside. Still holding it together, you're going to fold it under. Kind of fold everything in half, and you can squeeze it. You're not going to hurt it. Then we're going to take our pipe cleaner and twist it at least 3 times. This is on the underside of that bundle. And now that you have it twisted together, you can let it go. And at this point, you can fluff it out a little bit if you want to, or you can leave it kind of wadded up, and then after you attach it to the wreath form, you can sort of straighten it out a little bit. It doesn't matter. You can do it either way. So I'm going to be making 50 bundles that look kind of like this. And of course, some of them are going to be all gold. And the all gold ones, I may not even add any ribbon. It may just be the mesh and nothing else. But I will show you how to make the ribbon look fancy. I saved 3 pieces here. Now these are just as I cut them. As you can see, I'm not good at gauging 9 inches. I bet, never mind, there's a joke in there, but I'm going to leave it alone. I was going to say it, but I'll let you say it this time. Okay. I'm going to show you these are my little Fiskars spring little scissors right here. These are wonderful for cutting, especially the skinnier ribbon. I find it a lot easier. And now you have to be careful though, because they're very sharp on the end, and they'll hurt you. You have to be careful with them. They have a little safety thing here to keep them together, and they become like a little dagger at that point. Okay, now we're going to dovetail this piece of Kiss Me I'm Irish ribbon. So you're going to fold it lengthwise here. So right here is the fold. You're going to cut that little corner off with whatever scissors you're using. and that gives you, that's not a very good example, I messed that one up. It gives you that nice finish. Let's see if I can do this one better. That's better. It doesn't matter, again, if they're not perfect, it's okay, because when you put these into the wreath, the overall look is going to be so cool. You're just going to, oh, you're going to love it. And part of the fun of these wreaths is going out and finding all the cool stuff to make them with. Because, well, I'm really lucky. I live in an area with a lot of fabric and craft stores and places that have cool ribbon and stuff. And so I love finding all kinds of new things to make my wreaths with, like these cool St. Patrick's Day ribbons here. You do the same thing no matter what the width of your ribbon is. You fold it lengthwise. You don't have to mash it down if you don't want to. And you're just going to cut that corner off. Even with wired ribbon, you just snip that off and you end up with all these little pieces. It's good to keep a trash can nearby to put the trash in. And again, you fold it lengthwise. That was the sound of cutting through the wire. But there you go. That one's, yeah, I cut that one a little short. I was trying to get more pieces out of that roll. So that one got cut a little bit short, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. Even with this wide ribbon, and it's wired, so it curls and whirls all over the place. It's like I've made a stingray angry or something. So fold it in half lengthwise. Cut off that corner. And look how nice that looks. I think it looks a lot better in a wreath than just having it, it's cut straight across like it just came off the roll. It just finishes that edge and makes it look extra fancy. Just a little bit of flair. Now, it does take time to cut all that ribbon, but I think it's worth it. I think the end product looks so much better with your little finished edges like that. And as a tip, and I do this with all of my wreaths, when it's all done, I spray it with a light coat of Elmer's spray adhesive. It's I think it's actually called craft adhesive. It's just a light spray of adhesive over it. It's clear, you're not going to see it, but it really helps prevent the fraying, especially with the mesh. Sometimes you get a little bit of fraying with the mesh. It helps just kind of hold everything together. So I've been doing that since I started making these wreaths over a year ago. And I think it really helps them hold up longer if you just give them a little spritz with that craft adhesive when you're done. Okay, let's do another bundle. And again, we're going to be using a lot of dark green in here. That's the way I want it. So you're going to pull opposing corners and keep that tension in there as you walk your finger over. See, I've still got a grip on it here. I'm kind of pulling on it. And then push it down and then fold it up. Hold it like that. Oop, I got two pieces there. You're going to grab opposing corners. And you'll find if you work with Dollar Tree mesh, it feels a little more mushy, like it's just not as, it's lower quality mesh, but I mean it works, it's fine, but it's not as it doesn't have as much body as this mesh does. This one, just everything about it is just different. And then we get a light green piece, and you can do these in any order, it doesn't matter. And when you're doing your own wreath, that's the fun part. There are no rules. You can do it any way you want to. And as long as you're happy with it, that's the right way to do it. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. To me, it's a fun thing to do. Like, today it's raining and it's yucky outside and it's cold and I don't want to be out there. So it's a nice fun indoor thing. If you have kids, you could show your kids how to do it and you could work on a little project together. I like to do it while I watch a movie or listen to a podcast or just whatever, or just listen to music. It's just really a really nice and kind of relaxing thing because you don't really have to think about it very much. You just kind of do it. Okay, for this one we went with a piece of plaid ribbon and this cool shamrock ribbon. I always put the wider piece of ribbon on the bottom, and then I do the thinner ribbon on the very top. Now again, we're going to take, and you hold it all together, don't let it go. And you take your half of a pipe cleaner, lay it across the top. Boy, that dark green looks really good, doesn't it? But it's not going to show, even though it's on the top of this bundle. You wait and see, it's like magic. When the wreath is all done, this won't show on the front. Of course, you'll see the pieces on the back, but you won't see it in the front. I don't know, I like for it to match. You turn it over, fold it, you grab your bundle, fold it in half. This one's a crunchy one. And then you give it at least 3 twists on the underside. Now this is a shorter one because I cut it a little short, but I'll show you what to do with that. You can let it go. This is a noisy ribbon right here. Okay, so there's our next bundle right there. And let's do one in all gold. Same technique. Here's a piece of that gold mesh. You grab your opposing corners. I'm still holding it. You hold the tension. Walk your fingers over. Roll it and hold it like that. Now we're going to do 4 pieces of this gold. Only gold. And I don't think I'm going to add any ribbon, so it's just going to be the mesh. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I go a lot faster when I'm not showing you what I'm doing. It moves pretty fast. Now I have cut 24 pieces of this gold mesh right here. 24, and I'll show you why in a minute. So we have these 4. I'm going to use the shorter pipe cleaner because we don't have the ribbons and stuff, so we can use a shorter one here. Just lay it across. I don't guess it matters which way you go, but there's no ribbon on top. Fold it in half. I'm going to even them up a little bit there. Now you twist it once, twice, 3 times. And you're going to leave these sticking out, and we're going to show you in just a second what those are for. So here is your happy little golden bundle with no ribbon to it. Alright, now let's take a look at that wreath form, and I'll show you how to attach these little things to the wreath form. Here is your wreath form. It is not very exciting at this moment because it's just wire. It's dark green enamel coated wire. Now you see these pieces? There are 6 sections on here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divided by these pieces that hold everything together. I decided that I will add 1 golden bundle, one of these, to each of the 6 sections. So since we have 4 pieces of mesh per bundle, that means we need 24 pieces of this gold. So I just went ahead and cut 24. 6 times 4 is 24. You know, I heard they're not teaching multiplication tables to elementary school kids in some places. I think that's a mistake. That is something I use all the time. I just cannot imagine not knowing my multiplication tables. That's just crazy. But where my dad lives up in Virginia, they don't teach kids multiplication tables. Okay, right now we're looking at the front of the wreath form. It's shaped like this. It's convex. So we're going to turn it over to the back. It's not going to really look any different to you, but on the back it's shaped, it's concave. It's like that. But yeah, sorry, I had to stop for a second. There's a siren nearby. But yeah, where my dad lives, they don't teach the kids, they don't learn their multiplication tables, and that's just crazy to me. I cannot imagine not knowing that. You know, fortunately, my kids got to learn it. In fact, my younger son even got to go to the multiplication tournament for his elementary school. That was pretty awesome. He's really good. Okay, so, you know, remember we had these 2 little pieces right here? With the 4 wires on here, when we do these wreaths, We're only going to use the 2 inner ones. We're not going to do anything with these at all. Nothing. We're just going to attach our bundles to these 2 right here. So you're going to take your little bundle, and again, we're looking at the underside, the back side of this wreath form. You're going to take it and straddle those 2 wires, bring it over, and then just give them a few little twists here, and you can take the ends of this pipe cleaner and just tuck them under like that. And I'm going to do 1 bundle just like this for all 6 sections. And then of course it will be surrounded with the dark green, light green bundles. And it doesn't look like much right now. I know it looks kind of sad and floppy, but just wait and see what happens after we add all the bundles to it. You won't believe it. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add the other 2 bundles that we made. I find it's easier to flip it over again and just keep it turned upside down. We're just going to put these on either side of that gold one just to give you an initial idea of what it's going to look like when we add all the bundles, which I haven't made yet, but I'm gonna. So again, you take your ends here and you straddle it like you're just gonna crack its dingleberries open. You just put it between the 2 and you twist them together like that. You can just give it several twists. And then I like to take the ends and just tuck them under so they're not sticking out. Gives it a nice smooth finish back here. And while we have it here, we'll go ahead and add the 3rd one right on the other side of it. Now the decorations come last. We will add all the decorative items after we get done with all the bundles. Now if you end up with little ends that are too short to wrap together, you can always just take them and just twist them several times around that wire. You can just do it like this. It doesn't matter as long as you find a way to secure it. As long as it's not going to come off, that right there is fine. Now we're going to turn it over. Okay, now this is what it looks like so far. And again, you're probably looking at it, if you've never seen me make one of these, you're probably looking at it going, Mary, that looks like a dog's butt. Why are you doing that? That's kind of ugly. But a magical thing happens when you add all the bundles and they all get smushed together on here. It's going to look totally different. I'm going to go ahead and make those bundles. And I'm going to add them all over the rest of this wreath form, including my 5 other bundles of this kind of a golden yellow mesh. And all the ribbons and everything. Then we'll come back and we'll see what it looks like after we add everything to the wreath form. Well, I got all the bundles done, and I added them to the wreath form, and Olive came in here to help me. Come here. See? She's helped me. She's purring. She says, put me down. I don't want to be in here. Whoops. She likes to crawl around and play with things while I work on my wreath. So now she's bumping into the computer. Okay, so anyway, I got it done. We haven't decorated it yet. I decided not to use the shiny green ribbon. It just, I don't know, just felt like it was a little bit too much. So I'm going to show you how it looks before we decorate it. Look, it's so big, and wow, it's huge. Look at it. You can see here where I put in the bundles that just had the gold in it. And then we have lots of dark green. We have all the ribbon in here. Now we're going to add the decorations to it. And maybe Olive will help me decide where they go. So there's how it looks so far. And on the back you can see all the green pipe cleaners. They just kind of blend in on the back. And you can really see the bundles of gold back here. So now I'm going to decorate it. And then we will come back and look at it again. I finally have all the decorations added to the wreath, and I wanted to remind you of a little rule of thumb when you're decorating your wreath, and I'm going to show you an example of it in a moment. Before you place your decorative items, make sure you're happy with the placement before you use the hot glue on them. because that glue sets really fast. And if you're not happy with it, you may not be able to move it without damaging your wreath. I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Overall, I'm really happy with it. We have lots of flowers in here. There are little gold coins nestled throughout. But what I meant to do with the little pots, I meant to have them switched, so you would have a gold one and a black one, and then have it reversed down here and do these separately. But I messed up. I didn't notice until the glue was already set. So I tried to remove it, but it was so stuck I was afraid it was going to damage the mesh. So I'm just going to have to leave them like they are. I wanted to alternate the colors, but it kind of bugs me, but I can't really do anything about it now. So let that be a lesson for you. If you're making a wreath and you're adding your little decorative items like your flowers, I have lots and lots of flowers in here. Just make sure you're happy with the placement before you glue them in there, because you may not be able to change it later. So anyway, you can see we have the little glitter coin. I think we have 2 of those in there. There's one peeking out. And I really love the gold mesh here and there. It's not throughout the wreath, it's just in 6 spots. I like that. With all the ribbon and the little pots for your pots of gold. There's a mesh shamrock right there, and another one up here. So there it is. It even looks pretty on the back. You can see, compared to what the 14-inch wreath form looked like, it's a lot bigger now. It's pretty big, but it's not very heavy. That's one thing I love about these mesh wreaths. Depending on what you decorate it with, it's usually not very heavy. So that's kind of nice. So there we have it. This year's St. Patrick's Day wreath. I think it looks pretty cool. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. And I'll see you again soon.